a couple of days, so I apologize. I have been behind for sure. I'm gonna make sure that this is going on to Rumble as well. So thank you guys for joining, and I apologize. I've been way far behind on this, but I've been sick, and then coming back from Germany, just I I felt completely was just toast, honestly. So thank you for your patience. And now hopefully we could get back to like somewhat of a regular schedule. I would love that. Okay, it looks like it might be working. All right, I think I am just about good here. So I'm gonna start just like normal format, guys. This is day 14 of Revelation. Excuse me. So we are gonna start reading that. I guess I need to go on to the Cooley Kyle, Krispy Kreme. What's up, brother? How are you doing? Of course I remember you. How you been? And what have you been up to? Anything fun or exciting? And let's refresh this real quick. Make sure I can see all the live comments. Turn off the volume so I don't distract myself listening to myself. And all right, so let's get into this. And Krispy Kreme, you've been pretty good, man. What have you been doing? Anything interesting with your life? I think I remember things got pretty hard there for a minute. Camping trips, okay, that's awesome. What kind of camping do you do? Do you rough it with just the bag? Do you do tents or camper? I got a slide in, but I do tents, like cabins. I'll sleep out in the open too. Just depends where I'm going and when. So today our devotional is, and you guys just go ahead and chat, and I'll jump back over to this. If you are putting comments on here, I'll be back over there in just a minute. So, all right, cool. So, what's up, Mo? Hello from Germany. And Murmurcat, thank you. I appreciate that. Trying to put out good content. Stuff is valuable to me, so that's why I'm sharing it. It's selfishly as much for me as it is for you guys. But today's devotional is when Jesus took the scroll, everyone around him immediately began to worship and celebrate. The 24 elders gathered around, sang a song of redemption, praising Jesus for the work that he did on the cross and the result of that sacrifice, that we can become kings and priests serving our God. The countless angels joined in around them, worshiping Jesus and recognizing his worthiness because of the redemption he offers. And Chris, you do tent. Okay, that's cool. Do you go with any buddies, or who do you go with? My son loves camping. Dev, hello, how are you? You in Germany as well? Or is that what you just told me? Oh no, that was Mo, sorry. But I was over there, so I wonder if like the algorithm was picking me up. So that was kind of my thought. So what's up, Chloe Dizzy, Callie's Vlogs, and how are you? I'm guessing girls doing. Sorry, like the little icon is just, it's hard to see. Maybe I just need glasses. Getting old. Sequouse. Hello, thank you. I am a big boy, that's for sure. And hi, G Homestead, how's it going? Krispy Kreme, you got a question? Could you be a moderator? I would do that if I don't know what that means. So maybe you can explain that and I can answer your question. I feel like that'd probably be fine. Chloe Dizzy, is there girls in this live? There won't be today. Sometimes there are. Sometimes we got some girls come in. Ray, how's it going? Thank you for that compliment. I appreciate that. Why is there no girls? Well, my niece sometimes comes on. Sometimes I have different female guests. So it just kind of depends who's busy and who wants to join at the time. But Kung Pao, blessing from Pakistan. Thank you. Praying for you guys over there. Cloud Dizzy, Riz. I got I guess is the Riz charisma? Is that what it means? That's what I've heard. I'll say just, I'm cooking with the biblical Riz. Okay. I can't laugh, otherwise I'll start coughing. Edward, what's up from the UK? Actually might be over in the UK in the next month or two, maybe 3, I don't know. So if you end up wanting to meet up, I'll be over there. Krispy Kreme pretty much means moderate chat, make sure people don't say anything rude. I mean, I'm okay with that. I also don't mind it because it's like some of the trolls, they make it fun. But at the same time, I don't know. I do want to keep free speech free. Although I know YouTube's probably not like super huge on that, but yeah, I mean, you can check it out if you want to look at it. Chloe CDZ, yes, please. Thank you for the sub. And Blue Badger, are you Sigma? What does that mean? I don't know. Edward, I don't know. I have to ask my buddy because I don't know exactly where he's at. That's a great question. He was supposed to come visit me in Germany, and he like got a hold of me the week I was getting ready to leave, and he's like, "Oh, what's up? You're over here." I'm like, "I told you like a month ago, dude. Like, you're supposed to come join us." But whatever happens. What is the boozy fade, Blue Badger? And James Gaffney, Wild. Oh, well, that's not appropriate, sir. But welcome to the channel. Appreciate having you here. I don't know. I don't know if I look like Thor, but I tell everybody, hey, if y'all can get me a role, I will pay you happily, generously. We got a couple people on Rumble, so I'm gonna keep going into this. This is the rest of the devotional, just a short little bit left here, but it says, then, last but not least, all of creation joins in with them. Every creature, all of creation, singing out and worshiping Jesus forever and ever. What a beautiful picture that we get to look forward to one day. What do you guys think about that? Worshiping with Jesus. I think that'd be pretty cool. Barbara, how are you? Welcome to the channel. Krispy Kreme won't get rid of people's comments if they're trying to converse with you and trying to have an argument, but it'll get rid of people that say slurs and go the guidelines. Sure. I mean, that's fine if you want to do that. And close it easy. Girl, what does that mean? James, when I was little, I used to be locked in my closet with only porn playing for background noise to listen to. I'm sorry. I imagine you have some past trauma from that. Is that real, or are you just messing with me, James? And Asia, welcome to the channel. We're doing pretty good. I do not have a girlfriend, or a wife, just to clarify. All right, so let's get into this Revelation 5 reading. So this says the scroll and the lamb. There's been a lot on this if you guys have been following. Let me just make sure that Rumble is seeing this too. I think they're a little bit delayed, but that's okay. All right, so scroll and the lamb. I'll read a little bit of this and I'll go back to the chat, okay? Go to G tag. What is that? I don't know. So the scroll and the lamb. Then I saw on the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll with writing on both sides and sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice, "Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll?" But no one in heaven or on earth or under earth could open the scroll or even look inside it. I wept and wept because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals." So, what do you guys think about that? Any thoughts, comments, questions? I occasionally have to go in and figure out what does this mean, but the Magic Life, thank you for your sub. I appreciate that. Vivek says, "No, you want me to smoke crack? That's not happening, sir." So thank you for the recommendation, but I am not into that. So could catch me having a beer. That could happen. But that's about as laid back as I get. But Krispy Kreme, I could try you out as a moderator. Just tell me how I do it. So verse 6 over here says, "Then I saw a lamb, looking as if it had been slain, standing at the center of the throne, encircled by the 4 living creatures and the elders. The lamb had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. He went and took the scroll from the right hand of him who sat on the throne. And when he had taken it, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of God's people. And they sang a new song, saying, 'You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slain, and with your blood you purchased for God persons from every tribe and language and people and nation. You have made them to be a kingdom and priests to serve our God, and they will reign on earth.'" That's interesting. So, oh, you said never back down. Are you asking me? I'm looking. And I apologize, I'm super nasally. Thank you for tolerating me. And a win on all 4 living creatures. I don't know. Is that something that I read? So, that's crazy if you think about that being a song, right? Then I looked and heard the voice of many angels, numbering thousands upon thousands, and 10,000 times 10,000. That's a lot of angels. They encircled the throne and the living creatures and the elders. In a loud voice they were saying, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and praise." Then I heard every creature in heaven and on earth and under earth and on the sea, all that is them, saying, "To him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb be praise and honor and glory and power forever and ever." The 4 living creatures said, "Amen," and the elders fell down and worshipped. All right, so I can't read. That looks like Chinese. Hi, Aya Sakira and Nick Ed 30. I don't know what you're saying. I apologize. Claude DZ. All right. So, what do you guys think about that so far? I'm gonna make sure that it looks like possibly my Rumble crew is not able to see display capture. Let's see. I feel bad. I don't want to neglect them. So, to answer your question, I've been married and divorced twice. I've not been successful at it. Not that I do not. I would. Okay, maybe Rumble is just delayed here. Looks like it. All right, so I think it's working. Okay. So, anyways, yeah. So no wife, no ring. That's the right hand, FYI. But anyways, yeah. I mean, as I say, taking applications. So we are reading Isaiah 11 as well, and this says, "A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse; from his roots a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of might, the Spirit of knowledge and fear of the Lord." What do you guys think about that? A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse, and his roots a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and fear of the Lord. That's interesting because I feel like that all goes together pretty well. And no, don't feel bad about that. You're just curious. So, I have a son. I was blessed, even though it was a difficult time in my life for sure. Want nothing but the best for my son's mom. She's moved on. She had made some difficult life decisions. I mean, I have as well, but hers were a little bit more difficult than mine, at least in that regard. So what do you guys think? Maybe we should do another day. How about you guys on Rumble? Let me test this set. See if anybody on Rumble wants to chat over there. Got a couple people. All right, so let's go into day 15 if you guys are interested. Renea, a metaphor for Jesus. What do you mean? That's an interesting comment. And let's see this. I guess that one's already up. So we'll continue on to day 15. All right. So the devotional here is this week's reading is an opening or unveiling of the seal of the 7 scrolls that we also discovered cannot be opened by anyone other than the sacrificial lamb. With today's reading, we will take a deeper look at the first 4 seals. Oh, you know what? And I forgot to play some of the stuff from Shane Wood. He's pretty good. It says in John's writing, he uses this imagery from Zechariah 1 of 4 horsemen. So these 4 horsemen symbolize war, conquest, famine, and death. And so this is also from whoever created the Bible study, right? So, which Shane Wood actually gets into that too, and he talks about this is not a literal interpretation. My mom actually so she has her master's in theology, and she was talking about it yesterday and saying basically what was happening is that as this was being written basically in like a code, so it's kind of cryptic, so it couldn't be completely understood as an equal comparison to the signs of the times, just because of the consequences for speaking out against the leadership of the government at that time. So there's always a time. So like, I mean, the freedom of speech component which is kind of what I was just talking to Krispy Kreme about, if you're still there. I think that that's super powerful, just because I still want people to be able to communicate, even if all they do is open their mouth and garbage falls out. I still want to say, hey, look, like, let's train ourselves how to use the power of speech better, right? Because this is something that even back into biblical times, they would try to shut down your speech, right? Because they knew the power of it 2,000 years ago, right? So, and the elites now, they haven't forgot the power of speech as well. So you'll see that too on, many of these social media websites, right? So there's a lot of that happening. But anyways, it says that imagery, we're talking about that. It says, in order for us to fully grasp the heavenly reality that God has in store for us and its fullness, as well as what we have access to today, we first have to face the reality that exists in opposition to that, full of affliction, oppression, and death, tragedies all caused by the sins and rebellions of mankind. There's a temptation to either hide from God or in fear or run from him in anger, which is highlighted as we read this week. He is writing to people seeking relief and justice, but there's also a promise. Those who are faithful will overcome. They will be called conquerors and will be rewarded in the new creation. So let's check that out and see what that has for us. So we're doing 2 days. We're overachieving to catch up for me slacking. Renea, the term root of Jesse figuratively stands for the Messiah. Oh, that's what you were saying. Okay, that's the metaphor for Jesus. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for educating me, because I was sitting there like I should look this up, and then I think I had a completely different thought. So thank you for educating me. It's like so much stuff I can't remember, and I retain some of it, but definitely not all of it. So in Revelation 6, we're reading about the seals. I apologize if some of this is redundant, but it says, chapter 6, verse 1 says, I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, come. I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on a conquest. When the Lamb opened the 2nd seal, I heard the 2nd living creature say, come. Then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. To him was given a large sword. When the Lamb opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd living creature say, come. I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the 4 living creatures saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine. Has a little comment. I guess that's from, so 2 pounds was about 1 kilogram, and 6 pounds was Greek for a denarius. 6 pounds was about 3 kilograms. Interesting. Okay. So, when the Lamb opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature say, come. I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. They were given power over 1/4 of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beast of the earth. It's interesting. Hey, welcome back, Krispy Kreme. All right, so when he opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain because of the word of God and the testimony they had maintained. They called out in a loud voice, saying, how long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth and avenge our blood? Then each of them was given a white robe, and they were told to wait a little longer until the full number of their fellow servants, their brothers and sisters, were killed just as they had been. And it also says the Greek word for brothers and sisters, adelphoi, refers here to as believers, both men and women, as part of God's family. In verse 12 it says, and would you say Krispy Kreme? You know, there's a lot of the same people in Greek mythology that there are in Christian beliefs. Yeah, I was interested by that when we were just talking about Hades, and when I was over in Germany, which was part of the Roman Empire at one point. Well, not Germany itself, but Germania, before it became Germany. They have a lot of Roman influence, and so I saw a statue of Hades actually last week. It's crazy. But also interesting, in that city of Augsburg, I think his name was, I think it was Gaius, Emperor Gaius Octavius or something, but they called him, but that city was named after him. And he was alive while Christ was alive. It's pretty interesting, at least from what I looked up, because you can trust everything you find on the internet, of course. But that seems like it's a widely agreed upon timestamp. But verse 12 says, I watched as he opened the sixth seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red, and the stars in the sky fell to earth. As figs drop from a fig tree when shaken by a strong wind, the heavens receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. Crazy. And Krispy Kreme, I do say a lot of beliefs. They have a lot of people, a lot in common, and sometimes they share the same people, like Islamic with Christian. They share Jesus. That's true, and that's a very interesting perspective, just because that's something that a lot of people have brought up while they have been conversing with me. So something that they they want me to look into is all of the common ground over there. So that's something that I'm definitely going to explore. I have to pray for wisdom and discernment in that, just because of the feel like that there are some things that I need to be prepared for if I'm going to dive into those topics, maybe more so than I am. Renee says, I believe the Antichrist appears at the sixth seal. Let's see. So is that where we were at? At the sixth seal was a great earthquake. And there's more. So verse 15 says, welcome back, Claudisi. Says, then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and everyone else, both slave and free, hid in caves among the rocks of the mountains. They called to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can withstand it? So, in some manuscripts it says his. Some of his wrath has come. So, I'm actually curious what that continues on to say after 16 in 6. Different Bible I'm trying out here real quick. So 16 in 6. And said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Verse 17 says, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? So chapter 7, which is on another day. So do you guys want me to continue with reading from Revelation? Or would you guys like to listen to some of the sermon that I have, or it's a lecture actually? So I guess Renee, you're asking about the seventh seal, and sixth. I would think that that sounds right. So let's see. I'm looking in here. Yeah, Revelation is super intense. So I'm actually, while I'm looking up this, I'm actually gonna let you guys listen to this professor that he's talking about he's actually speaking on the whole book of Revelation. Sorry about that. I got my charge cord is pulling my phone down. It's messing with the straightness of my phone. So let's listen to a little bit of this. So this guy's name is Shane Wood. So this is actually going to talk about symbols and sources. And yeah, thank you, Renee. I appreciate you contributing as well. So hopefully you subscribe and come back. But I'm also not done yet, so I'm still digging into this a little bit. But this is a lecture. It's a long one, but we'll just put it on while I'm looking up at the seventh seal for you. So I'm gonna check that out, but here we go. Let me know, let's see. Is he going? I muted it.
We've only had 3 class periods, but it feels like we've gone a long way, right? Ginry, last class, talked about the old Ginry. What about it? What about Revelation's genres? Ooh, I don't think I have the right one up there.
What's up, Krispy Kreme?
Yeah, that's not, I forgot to change. Oh, I know what I did. Yeah, that's supposed to say symbols, and yeah, I forgot to change that word. Everything else is going to be cool. Sorry! Oh, man. I give you permission to scratch out what you've written. Nothing else will be like that. Okay, we're not still talking about genre. We're talking about symbols, and we're even going to talk about sources someday.
There we go.
But what have we talked about so far? You said genre. What in particular we talked about with Revelation genres?
Ask the right question.
They help us ask the right question. Exactly. What are the 3 genres we identified of Revelation? The epistolary, which is letters. Prophetic, exactly. Which is that? How do we define prophetic? What do we mean? Awesome. Get out of my class. No, just yeah. That is not what we define. What did we define it as, though? What's that? Yes, yes. Who God is, what God desires, and what God demands from us. Exactly. That's what, and does that sometimes involve prediction? Absolutely. Does it always? Less than 83% of the time. Okay? All right, third one.
So this was actually interesting, which I put the link on here too if you guys want to listen to these, because they're pretty good, especially if you miss some. But he talks about what is prophecy, because it's not exactly what we thought it was. So if you missed that, that was a pretty good one too that we checked out. I'll put that resource here in the chat though for both of you guys on Rumble and YouTube.
Apocalyptic. How do we define apocalyptic?
It's a revelation from a transcendent realities, about transcendent realities often communicated by otherworldly beings with a great
amount of symbolism.
Which comfort and so oppress people.
Yes. Yeah, off the top of your head, that sounds awesome. Yes, absolutely. It is a revelation of transcendent realities, oftentimes communicated by otherworldly beings with a great amount of symbolism to oppress people, to comfort and exhort them. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason why that is important is why. This even goes to one of the questions that was answered at the end, and I think it was by you, Greg, that asked the question about, are there other apocalypses outside of the Jews, like in Romans? And I was thinking about it later, and I was like, hello? Not to you, to me, because my answer was not that I can think of, but no. Because the genre in and of itself the genre in and of itself is coming out from oppressed people. Here's the question. If you are living in dominance as the rulers of Rome, you don't need to envision another world. Because the world you're living in is exactly what you want. But if you are the oppressed people in a kingdom, another world is all you can hold on to. So you are not going to find many apocalypses, if any, written from the top down. 9 times out of 10, matter of fact, I can't think of one. I don't know one that's not written from the bottom up. It's just kind of the way it works. Yes?
I mean, for the Romans, wouldn't the eschatology be more just the present? Have that, I think, Pax Romana.
Absolutely.
Whereas, I mean,
It's not...
it is already inaugurated.
Right. It is not that they do not have an eschatology. It's that they don't write an apocalyptic literature. Because the function of the genre is for more oppressed people. Eschatology is something that everybody functions off of in order to make sense of life. And their eschatology would not just be Pax Romana, but it'd be Roma Eternia. The eternality of Rome. The fact that Rome, matter of fact, Steve Friesen in his book, The Imperial Cults and the Apocalypse of John, in his last chapter or 2, he makes the introduction of that. He argues that the key thing for the reason why Revelation was written in the apocalyptic genre, targeting eschatology, is because that was the weakest point of Rome, of Rome's overall worldview. The way in which the key components that they have put into place, the one thing they did not have a good explanation for was the destiny of Rome. They described it as the eternality of Rome, but the problem is that we have just gone through a civil war where internally and externally there were all kinds of factors showing that Rome could crumble like this. And then after that, you still want to be talking about the eternality of Rome?
So, just real quick, because this is an opportunity to upgrade my vocabulary. So, eschatology is the doctrine of the last things. It was originally a Western term referring to Jewish, Christian, and Muslim beliefs about the end of history, the resurrection of the dead, the last judgment, the messianic era, and the problem of theodicy, the vindication of God's justice. Historians of religion have applied the term to similar themes and concepts in the religions of non-literate peoples, ancient Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cultures, and Eastern civilizations. Eschatological archetypes can also be found in various secular liberation movements. So that's really interesting to me, just breaking that down. So anyways, just a quick thought for you. I'm upgrading my vocabulary and reinforcing it in case I'm not clear on it. Bloodstained Believer, thank you very much. I pray that your day is blessed as well. I remember having you here before. It's been a minute since you've been back, though. We are still in the book of Revelation. So we're listening to a lecture from Shane Wood, but we've been going through our daily Revelation Bible study too. But you guys are always welcome to join me on through the Bible app.
25 years earlier, we almost saw it all collapse. How can I now describe it as eternal? So he says that he thinks it's very strategic that Revelation's right on eschatology because that's the weakest point of Rome's overall worldview, which I agree with, and I hope to develop further. But anyway, that's a little bit off topic. But it's important to understand why this is developing in and of itself. What else have we talked about? Not just Genri, but the two other elements we focused on. Historical background, exactly. What is the one word that we can use to summarize the historical setting of the book of Revelation? Conflict. Conflict, conflict, conflict. And how do we define conflict? When two kingdoms or two people try to occupy the exact same space at the exact same time. Exactly. And from this, we have the context, which is what we talked about in the very first class, starting to develop from which we can wrestle with the actual text. Okay? Now we know where we've been. Let's move forward. Symbols. Why am I going to start talking about symbols? Well, we'll get to that question in a bit. What? Unless you have an answer right away. Because there's tons of them. We'll get to that. Is a good point. But before we get to there's tons of them, let's do this. Let's ask. Let me make this point. Oh my goodness. Okay. I just didn't know if that was going to end. Somebody's got the reset button. Okay. I've heard it said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. which says something about symbols. What do you think about that statement in and of itself? Agree, disagree? How do you reflect on it? Symbols, or a picture's worth 1,000 words.
What do you guys think? What's your opinion on this so far? I agree, and I think that, like, looking at the time frame, that this really makes a lot of sense as far as like using symbols to probably preserve one's life, right? Krispy Kreme, how you doing, man? Welcome back.
And so what the picture is,
Okay.
so who's looking at it.
Okay. Ooh, now that's interesting. Because I somewhat agree. It depends on what the picture is. I somewhat agree. But the reason why I somewhat agree is because of the follow-up comment. Because it depends on who's looking at it. Because bottom line is, this picture, you may only have 15 words to say something about it. But if you started looking at the different images that are actually involved in this picture, all of us, and it depends on which eyes you're looking through. As a matter of fact, if you're a Russian looking through this, totally different image. Because this is actually not just Michael the Archangel. They actually have pictures of this throughout Russia. This is one of their patron saints. And it's symbolizing his victory over the leadership of the time. So it really does depend on who's looking at it, right? What I really want us to get at the outset, though, is this. Symbols have power. Oh, my symbols have power. People can just say that they hate us. Or we'll have people say, we hate America. Okay, or whatever. But that is much different than doing this. Right? Why would somebody do this? Why would people stand in a street, hold up a piece of fabric, and light it on fire? Big deal. Or is it? What are they doing? Yeah, they're burning the flag, but they're interacting with something symbolic. Yes. They are taking something that is sacred to the people they are opposing, and they are desecrating it on purpose to make a statement that is bigger than just saying, I don't like America. It's much bigger than that. Why? Because they're taking the flag that symbolizes all that America stands for, and they're burning it. This is something that does not just attack the mind, it attacks the heart. Right? That's what all symbols do. And symbols have power that can resonate through ripple effects that we can't even gauge. Because even if you look at the mass amount of people there, even the fact that they're all gathered, something starts happening of a synergy within that moment. Because things that are occurring, even verbally, take...
I agree with that, Renee. They are making a statement. And I think it's like something on a continued basis. So even like if you think about like branding, the brand is supposed to convey something, right? So if you see the typical logo, then it's supposed to convey a repeated message to us, right?
On a whole new form when they're in a setting like this, right? Because symbols have power. But it does depend on who's looking at it, because frankly, one of them would be like so, where if you had a veteran that, die hard, he bleeds red, white, and blue, it would mean something different to him. His words would even be different. But let me build on this. Symbols have power, the power of symbols. What do you see here? Describe to me. Okay, Zion, Zion and me. What else? Dad and his son. Cincinnati Bible College shirt, even though I've never actually stepped foot on that campus before. But they gave me a free shirt, and it was a cool one, so I wore it. He's wearing maybe a Snuggie or something, yeah? Well, it kind of looks like that, yeah. My hair is much shorter, yes, that is true. There is joy on my face.
You're welcome, Krispy Kreme. Use your authority appropriately. Bloodstained Believer says, speaking of symbols, when we see the Red Cross, we see hope. And a lot of people don't realize it started with the Crusaders. That's actually interesting. I did not know that was the case, actually. And Krispy Kreme, you can't time out Renea. Why did you do that? She's been positively contributing.
His face or my own. like, oh my gosh, this pooping stuff. I don't know this. Let me describe to you what I see. Because it's different for me. I just got back from being 27 days away, walking through the 7 cities of Revelation. This is the first time that I've been able to see my son since I've gotten back. And what he is wearing is a robe that I got from him in Turkey. And it's a little dog that goes over, that has he pulls it up and it's got a little dog tongue that hangs out. So in this picture, whenever I look at it, yes, it is a dad with a son. It is some joy, but for me, it elicits different emotions. Because the pain of being away from my son for that long is beyond words. But whenever I see this picture, it starts to conjure somewhat of backup for me. Why? Because even pictures are symbols. Pictures are symbols. They point to something that is beyond what they're actually depicting. Always. Let me give you another one. What do you see here?
Crazy beard.
My crazy beard coming forward. Goatee, sideburns. Yes, it's trying to grab my upper lip, okay?
I can't see the picture. Sorry, guys.
What's that? See, it helps to know a little bit about my family. Because this picture would just look like a dad, or maybe someone holding a baby. But if you look at the timestamp at the bottom right,
Bloodstained Believer says Christopher Columbus had the Red Cross on his sails when he came to America because he knew the Crusaders were here first and the natives wouldn't attack if they had seen the symbol. All right, interesting. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. And Krispy Kreme says, I have a question. Do you think of course I can subscribe to your channel. Not a problem. I'll check it out after this. So, Krispy Kreme, just drop me an email or send me your link, okay? Just send it to, here, I'll put my email down below. But yeah, I'm gonna keep playing Shane, but.
that is the date of my daughter's birth, and this is the very first time I'm holding her. So although it can be just a mundane picture, although it can mean virtually nothing to you, for me, this is sacred. This is different. Talking negatively about this picture impacts me because of what it means to me. Because that's my daughter, my only daughter. And that's the very first time I'm holding her. The very first time that she is feeling the arms of somebody that'll get to hold her for the rest of her life. Or at least mine. Symbols are powerful. And they do more than merely communicate to something in our minds. They connect to something deeper. And whenever you're filled with an entire book of symbols, you start to realize that you need more context. Where are we? Or what is this? Describe this to me. What's going on? Okay, first of all, let's define what you said. The very first thing you said, the very first thing Annie said, the very first thing that Annie said was, the gates of heaven are closed on someone. Here's my question. How do you know we're in heaven? Oh, okay. Natalia, is that normal symbols from where you're from, clouds like this being heaven? Kind of. Because I've found other places that I've been, like Prague, Czech Republic, whenever I tried to describe to them this, had no idea what I was talking about. What do you mean clouds in heaven? You know, pearly gates. What? It doesn't make any sense to them. Why? Yeah, they picture heaven differently. Now you're going to ask me, how do they picture it? I don't know, because I was such in shock, I didn't really know how to progress from there. But let's continue to develop this. If I was going to make a caption for this, what would I make it? Another piece to the puzzle comes into play. Colonel Sanders. And what is he saying? Why? Oh, yeah, because there's chickens decorating the pearly gates. If you look at the caption, Colonel Sanders at the pearly gates, he's in a world of trouble, right? KFC, that is universal.
Okay, so I'm gonna break that for a minute, and jump into this next devotional that I had started just so I can wrap that up. But this one's pretty short, but this is day 16. Devotional says, today we'll focus on the 5th and 6th seal. So I was hoping to get to the 7th seal for Renee. It says the 5th seal is opened, and here are the cries of Christian martyrs under the altar of God, who have been killed because of their faithful witness to God. Verse 10 says, they cried out with a loud voice, Lord, the one who is holy and true, how long until you judge those who live on the earth and avenge our blood? They are asking a question I believe all people all throughout history and many of us still ask today. God's response is patience. He says there is more that is to come before he can bring his judgment. God is slow to bring judgment. He was waiting for evil to reach its peak so that any injustice isn't left unjudged, while giving an opportunity for all to follow him, showing the ultimate example of self-sacrificial love. In other words, God will not judge them until they are fully and thoroughly deserving of it. And that has in quotes, or in parentheses, N.T. Wright, Revelation for Everyone. So I don't know exactly who writes these, but sometimes they have different things in them. So I think we just read through Revelation 6. So I'm not going to be redundant in reading that. Just interesting that sometimes these have multiple similar readings. So let's see. I'll continue to play Shane's lecture while I look at this next reading, which is Revelation 6 again. And I think we're pretty much done with that. But let's listen to what he has to say.
All of this is communicated with, you didn't even need this. You only needed the 2 words right there. And you understood what was happening. Why? Symbols. Symbols communicate to you on a different level. It even elicits a chuckle out of you. It even elicits a reaction of humor, even though it was only 2 words. Why?
These are words having a meaning behind it.
Yes, because even though everything adds to the full image. And it's not just mere surface level data that you're interacting with. It's the power of symbols that actually moves the surface level data to something deeper. Okay? This is how symbols function. So why all of this talk of symbols in the book of Revelation? I'm going to make a statement, and this is one of the #1 reasons why. Some people will claim this is audacious, but, well, it's true. In the book of Revelation, every number, every color, every animal, every piece of furniture, everything symbolizes something else.
It's interesting.
Every number, every color, every animal, every piece of furniture, every weather pattern, every piece of clothing or lack thereof. As a matter of fact, one of the inductive studies that you guys are allowed to do is on clothing.
Yeah.
One of my friends did a paper in Revelation class before called The Theology of Nudity. And the reason why is because if you trace clothing in Revelation or people that are not clothed in Revelation, it says something about which side of the battle they're on. Clothing means something. To the church of Sardis, he says, some of you have soiled your clothing. What does that mean?
It's interesting.
Or the harlot, Revelation chapter 17, dressed in these purple robes, very scantily. What does that mean? Or Jesus in Revelation chapter 16, verse 15 says, behold, I am coming soon, so make sure you are fully clothed. Revelation chapter 6, to the martyrs underneath the altar. They say, how long until you avenge our blood? And what does God do? Gives them some robes. Revelation chapter 7, you see a multitude, and they are clothed in heaven with what? White.
And real quick, I'm just going to interject because this is talking about Revelation 6 again. I'm trying to catch up to figure out what that 7th seal was, but it says that in this devotional, just like he's talking about in the symbolism, says the people's, it talks about the 6th seal is God's ultimate response to their cry. He brings the great day of the Lord in Isaiah 2 and Joel 2, and the people of the earth cry out, who is able to stand? These people's response is to hide from God, but this picture is an example of what we cannot hide from holiness. We cannot hide from God. We all have to answer for or to him. It says this is where John is inviting his audience to step into a heavenly reality. He recognizes that there's more persecution and suffering to come. He is offering them a continued vision, not a distorted one of truth and reality, but one that offers exactly that, truth. It is absolutely crucial that as we endure persecution and suffering, we hold on to what is true, what is promised to us. God promises that there is an end, that justice will come to those who faithfully endure. Come here, Max. Come do some Bible study, buddy. Our heavenly reality is absolute promises that he will shelter us with his presence. That God, the Creator, and the Lamb already have won the victory. Those that follow the Lamb are rescued from harm. He will protect us from hunger and thirst. He will wipe away our every tear. And Crispy said, okay, he sent the email, cool. And the 6th and the 7th seal bring us connection. Okay. Let us check that out. So I'm going to keep listening to Shane here. I'm going to continue looking for the 7th seal.
What you wear in Revelation matters. Why? Because every number, every color, every animal, every piece of furniture.
Thank you, Renee. I'm going to continue staying in the Word. Excuse me. I try to do this every day. And you said to use a concordance because the same word means different things. Do not be deceived. I have subscribed to your channel. Amen. Thank you so much. And I just continue to keep you in our prayers, and likewise keep praying for me. Same thing, that it's just like I have 4 Bibles that I go through, and they all could say different things, right? So it's just about digging down. But I'm also listening to this guy because I felt like he had done a lot of time in this book specifically. And Lou, how are you doing? How's it going, brother? And thank you for your subscription, though. I do appreciate it.
Symbolizes something. Some people say, well, what about the 7 churches? Those are 7 literal churches. Yeah, but what do I do about Hierapolis and Colossae? Right? Why did he have those 2? We know there were churches there. Because the number 7 was more important. We'll talk about that just here in a bit. Actually, let's talk about numbers some more. Numbers are very important when it comes to symbolism and revelation. And this is not foreign to our culture. Matter of fact, those of you that have been to the New York trips, you can even vouch for me on this. But I've traveled enough where this is very true in our society. This is a normal occurrence in our American context. Sorry, my mind's here, but it's not here. You're going up into the 17th floor of a building, very tall skyscraper, and you get into the elevator, and what do you notice? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17. Why? Why? Yeah, superstition based on what? The number 13 stands for something bigger than its actual numerical value in our society, doesn't it? Even Friday the 13th now, if you have Friday the 13th, what happens? Well, man, on pretty much every channel, you're going to find some slasher movie. Right? Because 13 is bad, but you combine it with Friday, and it's even worse. In our society, numbers have symbolic meaning in our society. What if I would say to you 9/11? What does that mean? Twin Towers? Because if I say that in some other context, they would just look at me and say, you forgot 10. That's all they would say. Why? Because in our society, the numbers mean something. But in other societies, that's not universal. There aren't people overseas that whenever you say the words 9/11, it impacts them deeply. But what's weird is even to this day, I can remember exactly where I was on this campus whenever I realized something was happening. Walking up in between my classes, going up the hill right here, going past Willie's, seeing everybody pouring in there, walking in and hearing that a bomb had hit the buildings and it exploded. And then later on that afternoon, a couple hours later, find out it was planned. I remember very clearly. Why? Because that's a part of who we are. That's our context. And now those numbers put together mean something different. And yet, I will venture to say this in 150 years from now, people won't look at those numbers, even in our country, the same way. The same way that a lot of us in here can't even give us the date of Pearl Harbor.
Hey, nobody, how's it going? Been a while since we seen you here. And that was nice of you, Bloodstained Believer. And Duke, how's it going?
Although that was very similar. You see what I mean? Numbers take on symbolic meanings in certain contexts and at certain times. If I was in Russia and I sent someone 8 flowers, they would flip. Flip! Because if I send them an equal number, it's me telling them that they're going to die soon. Numbers mean stuff in different cultures. Yeah, it's a bad idea. A dozen roses, don't do it. Give them 13. Hey, splitting it over. The point is this. It should not shock us that in the Jewish culture, numbers are symbolic for other things. It shouldn't shock us. We do it in our culture. It's all across the world. And that's why when we come to numbers like the number 7 in the book of Revelation, we have to read it differently. Where in the Bible do we find the number 7 most significantly for the very first time? Yes, hello, chapter 1 of the entire Bible. Genesis 1. What happens there? Creation. But, God created everything in 6 days. So why did he have to have the 7th? Maybe. Ooh, I love the word you used there. Because the Jews agreed with that. Exactly what you said there. It wasn't complete without rest. Therefore, in Jewish understanding, the number 7 came to be known as the number for completeness. Not perfection, completeness, totality. Therefore, every time you see the number 7 in Jewish, which Revelation is, it is symbolizing completeness. Where in Revelation do we see the number 7? Everywhere. Give me some. 7 churches. Where else? 7 stars, 7 lampstands, 7 thunders, 7 stars, 7 trumpets, 7 seals, 7 bowls, 7 horns. It's everywhere. So let's take it. Whenever it comes to the 7 seals, why 7? Because it's describing the completeness of the judgment. That's why it takes us to the end of the world. That's why the trumpets takes to the end of the world. That's why the bowls takes to the end of the world as well. It's completeness. Whenever he's talking about horns, you also have to understand that the symbol for horn in Jewish literature is for power. Daniel chapter 9 gives us the idea of this with the little horn coming up in power. Power. And so if you have 7 horns on something, what does that mean?
That's interesting too, because I was posting that word up, meaning like to, so if we're talking about like the apocalypse, which I posted the Greek derivative of that word, but it's to unveil, to uncover. So in all of the completeness, we are uncovering it, right? I feel like this is really interesting.
Complete power. Complete power. I find it very interesting. Let me also throw this out there. This is for the chronology people. What do we do with the 7 thunders? If Revelation's a chronological roadmap for the future, the 7 thunders aren't even allowed to be written down, so we have an incomplete chronology, right? Chapter 10 occurs. He sees 7 thunders, begins to write them, and what happens? The voice from heaven says, do not write down what you just heard. And he doesn't. So if we're trying to lay out a chronological roadmap, we've got a major problem, because one of our 7s is incomplete. But why does that exist? Why does the 7 thunders exist? No, but there's 4. 4 7s. 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls, 7 thunders. 4 is another number for completion. See what's happening here? The reason why 7 thunders is necessary to mention, but he doesn't need to
Like
elaborate
this.
it on, is because the number 4 is more important than the actual revelation of the thunders. You follow me?
Interesting.
Every number that we interact with in Revelation, every number, is within this context, this genre of symbolism. It's trying to communicate something deeper. For example, the number 10 is also a number for completeness. I know what you're thinking, whoa, all these completeness numbers. Yeah, I know. And usually every one of them has a little bit of a nuance to them. For example, the number 4 a lot of times is attached to the earth. 4 corners of...
Alright, so I didn't know that about the sign of the Trinity. But that's interesting, and it's interesting how much importance is weighted on this, so I'm curious to see how deep this goes.
The earth you see in Revelation chapter 7. The entire earth, complete earth, that's what it's trying to communicate. But the number 10, to the church in Smyrna, chapter 2, you guys can flip there. Church in Smyrna, if you want. Verse 10, that's ironic. Anyway, says, do not be afraid of what you're about to suffer. I tell you, the devil will put some of you in prison to test you, and you will suffer persecution for 10 days. Here's my question. Is Jesus counting the amount of days they'll actually suffer persecution? Or is he saying something bigger? If you're a Jew, where in the Old Testament can you remember a time period of testing and even of persecution within testing that lasted for 10 days, that could infuse what he just said there with some deeper meaning? Daniel, chapter 1. The Jewish people are pulled out into exile, correct? Under Babylon. Daniel is one of the people that's gone there, and who else has gone with him? The people that get renamed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And they are there, and at the very beginning in chapter 1, they are told that they have to eat at the king's table, but they also have to eat the meat, things that they were not allowed to eat. And what do they ask? They say, instead, let us eat our diet and test us for 10 days. And if we succeed, or if at the end of 10 days, we are stronger and more healthy, then let us just go by our own diet. If not, then we will obey yours. And what ended up happening? At the end of the 10 day of testing, what happened? They were stronger, and the text even says they were more wise than all the other people that were within their particular, the wise men that they were being trained to be. 10. So what does 10 then symbolize in this story of Israel? A period of testing. A period of testing. And I'm talking about in the context of Smyrna. Because it is completeness as well. But a complete period of testing in which, even though you are exiles in a different empire, you will be proven to be the true people of God. So whenever he looks at the church of Smyrna and he says, you will be tested for 10 days, they look at it and they say, and we will be victorious. It's so much bigger than just counting days. Because this isn't just like Revelation was written in a vacuum. It's continuing an entire story. A story that began in the garden in Genesis 1. It will end in the garden in Revelation chapter 22. It is riding in a stream of an ocean that's been going for quite a while. Therefore, he is not putting in their things by accident. Therefore, he doesn't count that there are 10 horns on the dragon by accident. Why? Because he's saying there is a complete reality to its power. It can devour people that are dedicated to God. Matter of fact, we'll even talk about how even the number 666, symbolic. Even the number 1,000 is symbolic. Why? Every number in Revelation is symbolic. 1,260 days. Is he counting days? This is interesting. 1,260 days. What would that be in months? How many months? No. 42 months. Right? How many years is that? Ooh, close. 3.5. Why is that significant? Ooh. See what's happening? 1,260 days is the same as 42 months, which is the same as 3.5 years, which is half of 7. biblically, it means much more than counting days. We'll get to that later. The point is, we do this all the time. This isn't anything new that we're interacting with Revelation. Symbols try to communicate to us on different levels at all times, just like what he's doing here. Why is it? Well, let me just grab your hat here for a minute. What is this? MLB. How do you know? Because you've seen it before. Do you know how many millions and billions of dollars every single year is spent so that whenever you see a symbol, you can know what the symbol stands for? Do you have any idea? Why? Why do they do that? Because symbols communicate to you on a deeper level than maybe you even recognize. We do this in the church, yeah?
So guys, I'm gonna stop just because I gotta do some dinner and call it a night, but we're about halfway through that specific lecture. So I just want to thank you guys for joining. But hopefully get everybody back on tomorrow. I know these are kind of long, but we went through a couple days today on the Bible study. So thank you for those of you that stayed buckled in the entire time. Sorry for a little ADD as well. But anyways, I'm just going to close out in prayer. And if anybody has anything specific, I'll pray over those things as well. So, dear God, I just want to say thank you for today. Thank you for, I got a little bit of extra sleep. I actually got to attend a really cool event that a client put together, in which he gave the glory to you, God. And to be honest, I didn't see that happening a couple of years ago working with this gentleman. I am excited and amazed at just how you get into people's hearts and their mind, and you just permeate them. And it's just it's a huge blessing, especially with somebody that's a leader in the community. Thank you, God. I just pray your favor and prosperity onto this specific person. I actually share a video of that event. Went through. It's a nonprofit where this guy is basically trying to just improve the community using basketball as a tool to lift up the community. But man, God's hand is all over it, and it's great just to see how God works through everybody. So thank you, God, for that event happening. I also was able to connect with another buddy today who's a fellow believer, and I'm going to be probably bringing him on in a client capacity, but a employee. And I just thank you, God, for sending me the right people. Thank you for letting me speak with all these amazing individuals here that have come across my channel. And I just pray your blessings over them. Give them peace, prosperity, and joy. Same with all of the clients I work for, my friends and family. I just ask you to do the same thing for them as well. Give me healing, give me rest, God, as I continue to just slug it out with this cold that I picked up in Germany. But thank you, God, for just working your will through my life. And I just pray that you continue to do it. I give up everything that I do to honor your name. But thank you guys for joining. Anybody need anything specific? I'm looking through YouTube and Rumble. You guys got anything? Do you need anything? Thank you, Bloodstained Believer. I appreciate that, man. And Krispy Kreme, thank you for moderating my chat. I appreciate that too. And I'll be with you guys hopefully tomorrow. So I look forward to it, and have a good night. God bless you all. Bye-bye.